Howdy everyone, Pocher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we are going to show you how to beat the clowns. We have a few videos out already. We have the demons and renegades that can beat them. We have Firestorm that can beat them, but the thing with the clowns is the more investment that are put into them, the harder they become to beat. So once you start getting medallions, once they start getting medallions with the right stats, this faction becomes insanely strong. Insanely. Until a few days ago, I honestly thought there was nothing in the game that could beat them when they were maxed out. But on Friday's test stream, I cracked it. I found the missing piece, and we're going to cover that today. But I'm going to give you a presentation. So sit back and relax. We have 4 key threats with the clowns. Number 1, Marlena. Number 2, Peaky. Number 3, Gozo. And 4th, the medallions. These things combined create the ultimate team. Cue in Power Rangers or the, what's the one where the Captain Planet theme, and you've got the perfect team right here. They complement each other, and even though you have the other characters like Jack Lur and Circus and Oakley, these 3 are the main threats. They can keep the team almost indefinitely alive. Marlena. The reason why she is the biggest threat, and the reason why a lot of factions cannot beat her, is because of Inner Darkness. It is one of the most disgusting debuffs in the game, and the way it works with the clowns, it's almost impossible to get rid of. So Inner Darkness is a debuff applied to a hero, and when that debuff is applied to them, that hero loses all connection to their faction or their brotherhoods. The way the game is designed at the moment, there are so many heroes that rely on those connections to be useful. Once they lose or that tie is severed, they become quite vulnerable. Marlena can apply it freely. Every time an enemy uses a non-damaging ability, Inner Darkness spreads throughout the team. Now, you're probably wondering, Cloud Wanderers, you have characters like Roxanne who can cleanse debuffs. Correct. The problem with a lot of characters, and I can't think of any characters off the top of my head that can do this, but the problem with characters that can cleanse debuffs is the abilities that cleanse debuffs typically do not deal damage. So yes, Roxanne can go ahead and cleanse the debuff, but by cleansing it, she reapplies it because the ability does not deal damage. So it's a toxic circle. You just cannot get rid of it. And number 2, Spotlight. Now, Spotlight isn't specifically tied to Marlena. All the clowns get it through their passives. However, she's the leader, so it inherently falls on her, the blame. Spotlight is another wonderful trait the clowns have. The way Spotlight works is if you target a clown, they will receive Spotlight. If you use an AoE ability, the character that is primarily targeted will count as the primary target. So you're not going to shift it around, which you do not want to do. If you target a character, a clown that does not have Spotlight, the Spotlight will move from the original character to the new target. The issue with this is that when Spotlight moves to a new target, not only do they get insane damage reduction, because it gives it, from the top of my head, 50% damage reduction plus 5% for every living clown. But when it moves, it cleanses all the debuffs off the target. So say you want to kill Peaky and Spotlight is on Marlena, and you have a lot of wonderful debuffs on Peaky, locking her down, and you want to use one of your abilities that does a lot of damage on that Peaky. The moment you target her and use that ability, Spotlight shifts to her, cleanses all the debuffs. So it's really hard to try and focus a target because they get Spotlight, they cleanse, and then they get their huge damage reduction as well. Peaky, Dance of Puppets, is a monster skill. It revives 3 dark heroes. Now, there's a caveat to this. It's not a permanent resurrection. The characters that are revived get a debuff that when 2 turns pass, they will die. And her second big thing is Healer's Rune. She can apply it to herself, and it I think it reflex. It just bounces a lot of damage back. You can have characters on your team that will just die like that. It's because of this healer's rune buff that she can apply to herself. And then third, we've got Gozo. And if you go back to what we were talking about with Marlena, the spotlight buff, and then we go to Piki, who can resurrect, Gozo is the third piece of the puzzle that brings it all together. The reason for this is because Gozo can do two things. He can apply mockery and he can apply provocation. Mockery is going to force an enemy to target Gozo. Provocation is going to force all enemies to target Gozo. He has two abilities that can force you to target him. And it's hard to get rid of. It's almost impossible to get rid of this when it's on him, unless, of course, you can remove buffs, but then it doesn't matter too much because he can apply mockery, which isn't a buff on himself, it's a debuff on you. So, you force to target this clown, and eventually you may kill him. The problem is, Piki's going to come along and resurrect him. Not the biggest issue because he's going to get that debuff on him that after 2 turns he's going to die. But keep in mind, it is a debuff. And what do his abilities do? They force you to attack him. When he's resurrected, he doesn't have Spotlight on him. So when you're forced to attack him, he applies Spotlight to himself. And what does Spotlight do? Gets rid of the debuffs. So that debuff that's going to kill him in 2 turns is removed. He's alive forever until you kill him again. And then what happens? Piki resurrects him. He gets the debuff. After 2 turns, he's going to die. But guess what? You're forced to attack him. Spotlight moves to him, gets rid of the debuff. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. Now, they're not too hard to kill, mind you. But when you start to add the medallions, and you add damage reduction to the medallions, I'm talking, this is deep sea stuff. This is Kraken territory, whale territory. He becomes impossible to kill. You just cannot break through. Meanwhile, Jack Lur, Sir Sella, Oakley are in the back just absolutely annihilating you. It's why they're so powerful. So, the counters. Like I said, we have the Clouds, we have the Firestorm, we've got the Renegades, and we've got the new team I have created that can just beat them. Just beat them. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it does require a little bit of investment, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So the Clouds can beat the Circus if the Circus are weaker than the Clouds. If they're a decent level, the Clouds can still win, but there is the chance to lose. Once they become significantly stronger, the Whale and Kraken Clowns, the Cloud Wanderers aren't going to win. Firestorm, really decent, but once they start getting their medallions and damage reduction, the static just doesn't do enough damage to kill them as quickly as you need to. So they start to fall off. And then we've got the Renegades. Now, the Renegades are the best faction because they never actually lose to the Clowns, even when they're maxed out. If you have equal level medallions to the Circus you are versing, it's just going to time out. You just cannot beat them, but they cannot beat you. So it's just a vicious cycle. And then we have the final team, which beats them all. So who is this mysterious team? It's the Renegades. It's Corvus, Felicia, Void Gunner, Devourer, but we remove Lola. Okay? We take Lola out and we replace her with a character. And the winning skill that makes this possible is the character's basic ability. So we'll jump into the arena and I'm going to show you. There's actually 2 parts. The first part's from Felicia, and that is with the polymorph that she can apply to the enemy, and that when the enemy dies in polymorph, they cannot be resurrected. So that's the first obstacle. The second obstacle is the damage reduction, which again, we'll go to the arena and I'm going to show you how to win. So jumping into battle, the character we are using is Superia, and the reason for this is because of her basic. That is the only skill we're using on her, and this ability is able to attack through damage reduction. Doesn't matter if it's on a medallion, doesn't matter if it's through a skill, doesn't matter if it's embedded in them, she can break through it, and that's all we need for a chance to win. Now, the chance to win is pretty high, but it's not guaranteed. The Clowns are just so insane in what they can do, but I have found no team at max level that can beat this faction, so this is the only one that I can find that stands a chance. We're going to start with using our Void Gunner. We're going to remove the hide, which allows us to attack the Gozo. We're going to go ahead and put them to sleep. And then we're going to basic. And as you can see, we're going to break through. Now, we'll talk a little bit about what you need to do. Then we'll talk about what's on every hero. Corvus, you're never ever casting this ability. Casting this ability is going to apply the Inner Darkness to your heroes, and if it lands on Felicia, it's really bad news. Now, Corvus has 2 parts to his kit that's really important. Number 1 is the the Darkness tokens. This reduces the damage we take by 15% per token. Inner Darkness doesn't affect this. If we have Inner Darkness, the damage reduction affects all dark heroes, and Inner Darkness does not take away your character's allegiance. They're either dark or they're light. Nothing in the game can change that. I think the only character that changes between the two is Vulcan. Is that her name? Oh man, I forget. The Knights of the Council character. Maybe there's some other stuff as well. Either way, it doesn't play a part in this fight. The second part of his skill is that when we take damage, a random renegade or demon will receive 50% initiative. That doesn't work if Inner Darkness is applied to the character, and that's a big part of this fight. So just keep that in mind. Moving to Felicia, if we are able to put the Peaky to sleep, we can go ahead and cast our mutagen. If she isn't put to sleep, wait until she casts this skill, because this gets rid of dots and mutagen does count as a dot. So we're going to go ahead and break through that now, and we're going to go and try and take out this Gozo as fast as we can. Beautiful, taken out, and we're going to eliminate him. Now keep in mind, if a character is in the polymorph form and is killed, they cannot be resurrected. Moving on to the Marlena now, we're going to go ahead and try and take her out, and we're just going to repeat the same thing, keeping an eye out for the same things, avoiding the same abilities until we remove her. Now, in terms of what abilities and stats are on these characters, these clowns are completely maxed out. They are the strongest of the strong. In fact, it is impossible at this point of the game's life to actually get the clowns to the level they are at in this fight. They are level 100. They are Arcane Star level 7. They have level 80 medallions. They are all level Echo 8 medallions. And they have level 10 substats in every slot. All of them damage reduction, except for one slot on the Circella and the Jack Lur, where it's 3 damage reductions and 1 lifesteal. Now, we have completely maxed out medallions for our Rendemon Superia team as well. Now, I understand that this is an extremely... It's an impossible task for the regular player. But what I'm trying to showcase in this fight, that is, you just need to be able to match the enemy, and this team should work. If you're not going to need the stats of this team if you're versing just a clown team that has like 2 level 10 medallion stats and so forth. So in terms of my medallions, I have damage reduction times 4 on the Corvus, Void Gunner, Devourer, and Felicia. You could probably mess around a little bit with the Void Gunner and Devourer one. But to be honest, they're just there to remove shields, to remove buffs, to put them to sleep. The real damage is from the Superia, who has 4 times attack damage stats on her medallions. So just keep that in mind. The clowns are the strongest faction in the game, in my opinion. When they are maxed out, there is nothing that can beat them. So to beat them when they are strong, you're going to unfortunately need extremely strong characters. Now, for the most players, you're not going to really see clowns of this level. I'm in an endgame clan, and I honestly haven't seen clowns of this level yet. I'm sure there are some out there, but yeah. This is the only team I have been able to find that can even contest the clowns at completely maxed out. And as I mentioned, those that level of clown isn't even in the game yet. But that's because it's impossible to get. The medallions for a lot of these heroes aren't actually available to collect. Whereas for the team that I'm using, the Ren Demon Superia, you can actually get their medallions in the ruby store. You can use rubies to collect these medallions, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, there are a few teams that can beat the clowns now, but you really need to analyze the clowns and then go from there. For example, if you are starting to see clowns with medallions with damage reduction stats on their medallions, I think this will be the safest team. And as they get stronger, you kind of need to match that with your team as well. The weaker they are, you've got more options and go from there. By all means, test it if you're able to, if you have the opportunity. The only downside about using this team in clan battles, though, is that you are using a Superia, so you're taking that from the Chaos spawn. But most people throw Raymond into the Chaos spawn as well, so it's almost giving a home to Superia, who wouldn't normally have one if you're not running a team of 5 Chaos spawn anyway. So it's just information out there for you, ladies and gents. Another team to add to your arsenal, another solution to a problem that is in the game. And yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And if you're around the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.